Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in the studio. We are live. A little bit late. Apologies for keeping you waiting. I was just sorting my barnet out. Loads of Manchester United stories to get through. We're going to be talking about Erik Ten Hag's future. He's under a bit of pressure in the manager. I know we're only 3 games in, but let's not kid ourselves. We spoke to James Jackson yesterday. He was talking about how there's a few question marks around the manager. We get when you lose at home to Liverpool, you're going to be under pressure, especially coming off the back of a season where, despite winning the FA Cup, you finished 8th. So we'll be getting into Erik Ten Hag's future. Also, injuries. What's happening with the likes of Rasmus Højlund, Luke Shaw, Tyrell Malacia? Remember him? We're going to be getting into that as well. Plus, Matthijs de Ligt is giving the manager a bit of a lifeline, a bit of support, something that he needs at this moment in time. So we'll be getting into all that. Make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. I want to get to 800,000 subscribers by the end of the week. And if with your support, we'll get there. Loads of people in the comments already. C Fence, Brian Casey, Santa Notch, Jacoya Trot, all saying morning. Dan Broderick, Tyler Wood, Daniel Scantlebury, everyone in there, Witterbird, Ethan Sweeney, Mick Hullahan. Thank you, everyone. Make sure you are smashing that like button. Right, let's talk about Erik Ten Hag. This 4 games sort of story. You can see it here from Gimme Sport, and it says here, insiders say the Dutchman has just 4 more Premier League games to save his job with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his new layer of management around and above Ten Hag, wanting progress, not promises. Progress, not promises seems to be the sort of tagline for that one, doesn't it? United's trip to Russell Martin's newly promoted Southampton after the international break is simply a must-win game. Now, I hate using the term must-win, because we use the term must win, and then if we don't win it, more often than not, nothing changes. But I do feel like this is a game where if he loses, he's in serious trouble. Because Southampton, I think, are 19th in the Premier League. Let me just bring up the Premier League table. Let me just have a quick look at their record. I know they've been struggling. My brother-in-law is a Southampton fan. I was chatting to him last night. 3 losses out of 3 games. No points, obviously. I mean, they're having one. Yeah, I think, 1 goal they've scored and they've conceded 5, so they've got a goal difference of -4. There's only them and Everton that haven't got any points this season. Now, if you go to a team that is 19th in the league, that hasn't got any points, that has just been promoted, and you lose, you are in trouble, especially if that result comes on the back of a 3-0 home loss to Liverpool. Any United manager is always around 3 losses away from getting a sack, I think. Any United manager, or post Sir Alex Ferguson. If you lose 3 consecutive games, there's a chance that the board are at least going to discuss your future. So you might keep your job, but it's going to be very difficult. You remember Louis van Gaal over the Christmas period? I think he lost 3 games once, didn't he? I think we lost to Bournemouth, Stoke, was it Norwich or something like that? And even though he wasn't sacked straight away, that was the sort of time that did for him. It was around that time as well, I think, that Jose Mourinho had been sacked by Chelsea, so he was available, and I think the board sort of looked at him and went, Van Gaal's not that guy, we'll go with Jose. But they didn't sack him there and then, they waited till the end of the season. Obviously, they sacked him basically the evening of the FA Cup win. It was just disgusting the way we treated Louis van Gaal. Whether you agreed with him or not, or his football, which I didn't like, I don't think it was a nice way to handle it, especially when he just delivered a trophy. So I get the idea that as a United boss, you are sort of 3 or 4 games away from the sack. And I get it with Erik Ten Hag because of the results he's had. And it's not nice to sit here and talk about it, but we've got to report what is being discussed in the papers. And it is being discussed for a reason. Now, you look at the Southampton game, that is a winnable game. Then you've got Crystal Palace away. That is more tricky. But Palace are 16th at the minute. They're struggling. They've lost 2 games already this season, I think. So that, again, it's not like it's an unwinnable game, or if we're being brutally honest, it's a game you should win. It's not that difficult. Then you've got Spurs at home. Spurs at home, you should definitely be beating Spurs at home. I know they're a good side. I know they've got good players. And I know under Postecoglou, they play good football. But if you can't beat Tottenham Hotspur at home, you have got something wrong. Something is desperately wrong with the club. As Fergie used to say, lads, it's Tottenham. We're just looking at the Premier League games here, by the way. Then you've got Villa away, which is much more tricky. So of those 4 games, the one that you look at and go, probably take a draw there is Villa away. I know we beat him we beat him home and away last season. That is a tricky one. I can forgive a manager for getting a point at Villa Park. Got to beat Spurs at home. You should beat Palace, even though it's away, and you should certainly beat Southampton away. So if you take 10 points from those 4 games, you'd be okay. Give yourself a bit of breathing space. If you lose all 4 of them games, or even 3 of them, I think you're done. Get involved in the chat in the comments and let us know. You've also got cup games that we've not mentioned. Barnsley, FC20 and Porto during that period. That's almost irrelevant, unless you lose them, of course. You lose to Barnsley in the Carabao Cup, then probably people going, what's going on? But I don't think winning those games is going to give you a reprieve if you're losing your league games. You look at the league form last season, that has to improve this season. And because we've already lost 2 of the first 3 games, he's given himself a little bit of an uphill battle here, Erik Ten Hag, in terms of how much space he's got and breathing space he's got. The one positive for him is some of these games going up to the Villa game are winnable. In fact, they're all winnable. Even the Villa game's winnable. So it's not like you've got a load of fixtures where you go, well, he ain't going to win any of them. Southampton away is almost the easiest game you could have. Well, you know, the only way it could be easy if it was Southampton or Everton at home. So that is an easy game. You've got another game against a team that are currently 16th, and then you've got Spurs at home. And even Spurs this season, if I look where they are, they're not flying. They're mid-table, they're 10th. They've won 1, drawn 1 and lost 1, and they've looked very Spursy. I saw the Leicester game where they were absolutely amazing in the first half and then fell apart in the second half. So let's not kid ourselves that these games are all unwinnable. And I think was it Newcastle they lost to as well. So Erik Ten Hag, yes, there's pressure on him, but it's pressure that I think he can handle, and I think he should be winning those games. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat in the comments. CH27 says Onana will cost Erik Ten Hag's job. I'm getting to the point with Onana, and I spoke about this on a podcast, I spoke about this on Twitter, where he needs to kick on a bit this season. I'm getting to the stage where I still back him and I still think he's a good keeper, but I am concerned. I do have concerns around him. We need to see him a little bit more consistent than what we've seen. And I think he can do that, but he has to do it. Hit that like button, please, people. Daniel Radnedge says, morning, Jay. I think Stephanie Griffiths is in there as well. Make sure you are hitting that like button. Let's talk about that then. Let me know what you think about these 4 games. Give me your predictions. How many points do you see us getting from these 4 games? I'll list them for you. Southampton, Palace, Spurs, Villa. So Southampton away, Palace away, Spurs at home, Villa away. How many points? So there's 12 points there, quick maths, on offer. How many points do you think we'll get? I think we'll get 10. And I think we need to get something like that. Otherwise, there's going to be serious questions asked of this manager. Questions he might not be able to answer. Let me know. I'm going to go through some of these. A8 says 18. Great stuff. Nazim Ayers says 9. Chris Quigley, 12 points. I like it, brother. Capo Dye says 8. Pankach Chowdhury says 4. Linville B, 12 out of 12. Jacoya Tot, 12. Martin Mognan, 10. Seafence, 10. Santa Knott says 6. That's interesting. 6. Where does that leave him? Brian Casey says 8 maximum. Didn't he used to play for Newcastle? Sorry, he says 8 minimum. Kyle Nicholson says 10. Thiago says 8. Ignite Husky says 0. Wow. Ignite's confident then. Cuban Samuel says 3. Fucking hell, people. Come on. Well, you're being honest. If that's what you think, that's what you think. I personally think... what did I say? I said 10, didn't I? I said we'll win them all except the Villa, which will be a draw, but... The pressure is on this manager, it really is, and this is where we're at. And I'm not trying to be negative. You know me, I've backed Erik Ten Hag. I continue to back Erik Ten Hag. But if people are talking about it, if someone like Jamie Jackson is saying that Ineos are looking at him, as we spoke about yesterday when we had him on the channel, then you have to listen to that. You have to, pay attention to it, and you have to respond to it. Let's talk about Matthijs de Ligt. So this is from the Manchester United website, as you can see there, and it says Manchester United... summer signing Matthijs de Ligt has discussed how highly he regards Ten Hag, stating his compatriot's importance in his decision to join the Reds. Can I just say, I love Matthijs de Ligt. I was watching him against Liverpool, and okay, it wasn't a great result, but I thought he did okay. And I love the fact he is a leader. He is someone who talks to those around him a lot. And we need a bit more of that, I think, at Manchester United. We've got too many people who are quiet, too many people let their heads drop. He seems like a leader. You can see why he was captain of Ajax when he was about 12. He is a proper leader, and he's someone as well who happens to be an absolutely elite defender. He is. So I'm loving de Ligt, despite that poor result against Liverpool. I don't think it was his fault. And I think there's a player there that Manchester United can get the most out of. Yeah, and he's been saying that Erik Ten Hag is one of the reasons that he joined Manchester United. I think we scroll up there, we can see that some of the quotes. We'll keep going. Yeah, obviously he was a really important part because he knows me really well. I know him really well. He made me captain also at Ajax. Also at my time at Ajax, he gave me a lot of confidence. He gave me a lot of motivation to try to lead the team. So he is a leader, and we've seen that, and Erik Ten Hag knows him. I just wonder whether that might work in Erik Ten Hag's favour, this. The good relationship he's got with Ligt, the fact that he brought through Kobbie Mainoo, the fact he brought through Garnacho. Can he tap into some of these relationships as like in terms of like these players back him? You know, these can sort of be a bit of a rallying cry in the dressing room. Maybe they're saying to others like, "Look, this is guy. Get behind this manager. Let's work together. Let's make these. Let's turn these results around." This is a pivotal moment for Manchester United this season now. And I'm not trying to be overly melodramatic, but it is. You look at these games coming up. You need everyone behind the manager. You need everyone to be on the same page. And if someone like Ligt, who's probably already a vocal part of that dressing room, he's certainly been a vocal part on the pitch, is saying to his teammates, "Look, this guy's, you know, I back him, let's get behind him." And one or two others who've, you know, let's not forget, if you're at Manchester United, you've been at Manchester United a little while, or you've been there, you know, you've just joined, or you've been there a couple of years, you've won trophies with Erik Ten Hag. You might not think he's the greatest manager ever, but he has helped you win something. Yeah, he's won you a Carabao Cup, he's won you an FA Cup. You've got a couple of medals in your trophy cabinet. You might not have had that before. You might have been at United, you know, look, someone like Bruno, for example. Bruno's at United for what? Is it about 4 or 5 years now? He hadn't won out until Erik Ten Hag arrived. Been to a final, been to some semi-finals, finished second in the league, finished third in the league. Great. He hasn't won anything. So he might look at it and go, all right, this manager might not be perfect, but he's delivering trophies. I've got some medals thanks to him. Let's get behind him. That's what I want to see now from this squad. I want to see him get behind this manager. Let's try and win these games. Let's go for it. The winnable games. But you need everyone to be behind the manager. If the dressing room starts questioning him or doubting him, or players aren't feeling it, it ain't going to work. Now, he's already got rid of Cristiano Ronaldo, didn't want Dier. Jadon Sancho, who, from what we gather, just was a bit of a, you know, I don't want to use the word toxic, but let's just say he wasn't exactly Bezzies with Erik Ten Hag. He's gone. The top, maybe Casemiro's not too happy. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But yeah, I just want to see someone, I just want to see a bit of a sort of turnaround. Stephen Badman says, "Jay, stop overreacting, mate. We'll be fine. Fair weather, fickle embarrassment of fan base." You say we'll be fine, right? We've been here before, though. It's all like saying stop overreacting. I've been here with David Moyes when people said don't overreact, and he got sacked. Jose Mourinho, don't overreact, he got sacked. Ole, Louis van Gaal. Yeah, this isn't new. Managers at Manchester United that struggle get sacked. You might go, well, it's Ineos now, it's different, is it? Okay, yeah, sound. So, yeah, Ineos is synonymous with failure, are they? Ineos is synonymous with just giving everyone loads of time. They've changed everything but the manager. And we literally had Jamie Jackson on here as a journalist I trust, saying that Ineos are looking at this manager, and if they don't see an improvement, he's in serious trouble. So it's not an overreaction to say, if the results don't improve, Manchester United are going to get a new manager. I think that's pretty obvious. You can't keep losing matches as a Manchester United manager. We finished 8th last season. Of course the manager's under pressure. You're always under pressure. Jose Mourinho was literally the most successful, or one of the most successful managers working currently. He'd finished second and got to an FA Cup final, and he got sacked before Christmas. It does happen at Manchester United. Watermelon Man says Casemiro will come back stronger, but looking at Onana, there's a lot of criticism of Onana lately. I don't think he will get better than this. This is the best he can provide. Let me know. James Barry says, I'd give him till November, December. Kez Levin says, so rude up next then? Possibly. Kevin Aitchen says, darkest, I love this saying, darkest before the dawn, folks. Let's stay united, get behind the team and the manager. Glory, glory, UTP. Yeah, listen, I use that saying quite a lot. I like that. It's darkest before the dawn. Santa Notch says it's the difference between saying what one thinks might happen and what they want to. Exactly. Notch has nailed it there. I don't want the managers to get sacked, obviously. I've backed Ten Hag from day one, and I will always back him. But I'm not completely deluded, and I know he's got to turn things around. We've got to show some more consistency in the league. The cups will get you so far. Yeah, and I'm old enough to remember, and I'm sore Notches as well. And I know Notch, but I'm not being disrespectful, where, you know, the cup saved Fergie. Like, we finished, I think, was it 13th when we won the FA Cup? Imagine being 13th now as Manchester United manager. Obviously, we won the FA Cup, we won the Cup Winners' Cup, the greatest achievement in the history of association football. And then we finished second in the league, won a League Cup, and then we won the title. The cups will only get you so far, though, and I don't think he can keep relying on the cups. This season, if we're struggling in the league, I don't think he can turn to Ineos and say, all right, we've lost a load of league games, but we beat Barnsley and we beat FC 20, we'll be all right. I don't know if they'll stomach that. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat. Akash K says, morning, Jay. Cuban Samuel says, some might argue still backing him is delusional. Do you give up? Have you give up? Let me know if you have. Cuban Samuel says, he says, from what I gather there, he thinks it's delusional to still back this man. I love this. Phobos Taco Man says, I back Erik Ten Hag. I believe in the power of the bald. Yes, why not? Barry Murphy says, morning, Jay. I wanted Erik Ten Hag to stay on after the FA Cup final. One of the keys to that win was Graft Amrabat put in midfield. We should have kept him as a stopgap and still signed a guy. I couldn't agree more. Honestly. Elite Baller says, Jay, start wearing backwards baseball caps to attract the mandem to the channel. Fire emojis. Akash K says, as ridiculous as this sounds, Jay, I think Erik Ten Hag needs more time. I think he probably does. I just don't know if he'll get it. Let's talk about the injuries. This might help him. If a few players are coming back. Lenny Yoro injury fault. There you go. There's quite a headline. Well, it wasn't the headline. So the Evening News have got an article here looking at when people are going to come back. So you've got Lenny Yoro. He could be back for Ipswich away on the 23rd of November. Tyrell Malacia, little Tyrell, he could be back. I think if we keep going, for Brentford on the 19th of October. It's been a while, hasn't it? Mason Mount, when's he coming back? He's had a hamstring issue. He could be back for Villa on the 6th of October. Rasmus Højlund, he's had a hamstring issue. He could be back for Palace away on the 21st of September. So you could have Rasmus Højlund back sooner rather than later. Victor Lindelof, no disrespect to him. I don't see him getting minutes anyway. He could be back for Southampton game. We need to, Luke Shaw as well. This is one that could make a difference. He could be back for Southampton. His old club, of course. Interesting there. I think if you can get Luke Shaw back for that Southampton game, that could be a big bonus for the manager. Because I like Mazraoui and I like Delo, but I think Delo at left back isn't as anywhere near as good as Luke Shaw. I just don't. I think Luke Shaw at left back, when he's on it, he's probably the best in the league. There's bigger questions around Luke Shaw and his injury record and all that, but if he can come back for that Southampton game, that could be a huge boost for Erik Ten Hag. You win that Southampton game, and people are just going to relax a little bit. Like, everyone's like, okay, do you know what I mean? Like, we've won a game. That's what you want. Then you got Barnsley at home, and then hopefully you can beat Palace. We just need to start picking up these points, don't we? Let's talk about Juan Mata. We've got a little bit of a funny one here. So Juan Mata has signed for Western Sydney. It's mad, isn't it, Juan Mata? It's a weird one, because everyone used to kind of love Juan Mata, and I did as well. But I always felt like we didn't quite see the best of him at United. I think he's one of our most successful signings post-Alex Ferguson, and there were some great moments. You know, you look at the free kick against Juve and some of the performances as well. I think it was the FA Cup final, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't think we used him in the right way. I think we sort of, at times, it looked like we had this style, especially under Jose. Remember when it was like, everything was just like bombing forward, and you felt like Juan Mata was a bit different to that. Yeah, it was, I know we didn't always bomb forward, but remember when we were like 4-0 FC for that little spell? Yeah, Juan Mata has obviously ended up in Australia. Wish him well. Still very fond of him. Great guy as well. He's been on the channel when we were full-time Devils. The nicest man in football. He did all that stuff, didn't he, with charity as well, giving 1% of your earnings. There you go. Santa not saying playing Mata constantly as right attacker didn't help. Manchester Maverick says Wanfield. Wanfield, how can we forget? Do you remember that one? One of the greatest performances ever by a Manchester United player, those two goals. Why didn't Rooney let him take the penalty? That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, never mind. We've got a new performance director at Manchester United. Yes, you can see there, Sam Erith has come in as performance director. So there's just, how many people are changing at Manchester United? It feels like every day someone's leaving and someone else is coming in. So yeah, we've got a new performance director. I think he's going to work alongside the likes of Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox. There has been a lot of changes, hasn't there, at Manchester United? There's been like, all the coaching staff, or a lot of the coaching staff has changed, with Mitchell van der Gaag leaving, with Steve McLaren leaving, with Benny McCarthy leaving. You've had Ruud van Nistelrooy coming in. You've had René Hacker coming in. Obviously, above the manager, you've had Dan Ashworth coming in. Jason Wilcox came in the back end of last season. You've had above them, you've had a new CEO coming in Omar Barada. I mean, it is all happening at Manchester United in terms of changes. The one thing that hasn't changed is the manager. And I think maybe that's why people keep looking at Erik Ten Hag as well, because it's like you've changed everything else, and if things don't improve, is the next stage going to be the manager? Is that the only place left to go? Plus the window shut, so it's not like you're going to make loads of signings. So yeah, I think that probably adds a little bit of pressure to Erik Ten Hag, because people are looking at it going, well, if you've changed all the coaching staff, you've changed the hierarchy, but you've still got the same manager, is the next person to go. Akash K says, another ex-City man. We have had a lot of them coming in, haven't we, at Manchester United? Just one final story as well. Did you see the San Marino won their first game in 20 years last night? I think they beat Liechtenstein, didn't they? Absolute scenes there. So yeah, the last win was in 2004, and then he beat Liechtenstein. I think San Marino are ranked 210th out of 210 countries. And then you can see it's a historic victory. I think Liechtenstein are like ranked 199, so they had a good chance. This was one where people looking at it. I saw a few people on Twitter saying this could be it. This could be the opportunity to end the duck. And then obviously you get all the memes and everything, don't you? Like, you know, they've won as many games as United this season, all that nonsense. But yeah, fair play to them. It's, you know, talk about perseverance. And also, you can see there, Ronaldo's 900th career goal. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. Make sure you are hitting that like button. Don't forget, if you're not doing already, to subscribe to the channel. Going to be back later on today. We've got The Brew, the housewife's favourite, Alex Bagley's going to be on that with Stephen Howson. So make sure you tune in. I'm J Motti. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.